Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and there's a lot going on in crypto. The fallout from the FTX thing is just, there's all kinds of interesting stuff going on. Before I get going, I want to remind you that I am, Glint is one of my sponsors, and I do have a Glint account, and I do buy gold in my Glint account, and it gives me a MasterCard debit card that I can literally go to a restaurant or go any grocery store and spend my gold if I want to, or I can just keep it in the account and save it for a very rainy day or a major inflation crisis and then use it as spending power. They also have a way that you can go and buy gold on their platform. They added this to their website this morning. The Glint's crowdfunding campaign is live on Cedars in UK. If you go to, it's glintpay.com. You can click on the link in the top of the description of my video and you'll see that. I'm not in any way involved in that, but I just wanted to show it to you. Anyway, I think it looks like I don't know if they're doing some kind of, I want to show you this because the return, the losses in the last 24 hours, this is what I'm looking at. Because, as I told you this past weekend, I went, iTrustCapital is one of the sponsors over at the USC football games, and I went out to Los Angeles and watched a game with them. And what I've been doing recently is adding money to my iTrustCapital IRA. On a day like today, that's what I just initiated that today. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at what has gone, this is just me, what has gone down the most that is something I'm interested in or have bought in the past that is not in any way really tied to what's going on with FTX. In other words, it's gone down a lot, but it doesn't have anything to do with it. And so it doesn't make any sense that it's gone down. Well, when I go down the list, these are the things that have gone down the most. FTT token, Solana is somehow tied to all this. But when I get down to about right here is where I get interested. Algorand is down 18%. And to my knowledge, has absolutely nothing to do with what's going on in this FTX thing. So and it is available on iTrustCapital. So I literally shifted some money into my SEP IRA on iTrustCapital, and I will be buying probably Algorand this morning. Now, Jay Clayton, who did nothing to help crypto while he actually had powers as the SEC chairman, has now been hired by CNBC to advise everybody on what should happen now, as if he's an innocent bystander and never had any power to do anything.
AJ, let's just take a look at this from the policy perspective. We talked yesterday, just running through about what each side's going to be doing at this point. Is the White House making plans to try and figure out what they can do from the agency perspective? Is, McCarthy now trying to make plans at what he can actually get done if it's going to be a very tight majority and he's going to have to listen to some parts of the party that he may not have cared to do? How does this play out? What are going to be the top concerns? What will be the areas where they actually can find some agreement, either within the party or from a bipartisan perspective?
Yeah, Becky, and Gary's right. It's a jump ball. So many players on the field, none of whom have clear authority to set an overall agenda. But let's look at where we are. We have the same issues today that we had yesterday from an economic perspective.
That we had when you were the SEC commissioner. I can't listen to any more of this. I'm going to vomit on my keyboard. Moving along. This guy ought to be ashamed of himself. Now, this tweet right here is interesting. CFTC and Democrats were palling around with SBF, suing DAOs and devs, decrying the scourge of DeFi and plotting to regulate websites and wallets. This is what I think BitBoy was trying to say early on, is that this guy was trying to parade around as this pro-crypto guy, and he was actually working behind the scenes with the politicians and hence Wall Street to basically put their arms around this in a small way and probably, I think what he said was to make DeFi actually illegal, but make it look like they were working on it. And he was in front of the CFTC as well. So, and then there's this. Check this out.
You look at this and say that there's more shoes to drop. Do you look at this and say that, look, a lot of smart people had invested, not just in crypto, but FTX in particular, in Sam Bankman-Fried, in his judgment, in the idea that this was a firm that only 2 or 3 months ago was worth $32 billion.
Before he talks, let me remind you of a point I made a long time ago. I didn't know anything about this Sam Bankman-Fried, but what I did know is that I've been in crypto since 2013 and I had never heard of this company. And then out of nowhere, I remember it like it was yesterday, out of nowhere, I see a commercial with Tom Brady on it. And I thought to myself, okay, somewhere, the powers that be have chosen this guy. He fits the mold of what Mark Zuckerberg was and Bill Gates were, the young genius, boy genius. It's almost like it's a model that they like to use to convince the public that it's him and there's no forces behind it. Make no mistake, this was a propped up situation, folks. Propped up, probably probably for the purpose, I'm not saying I know anything, but probably for the purpose of tricking the industry into thinking that they were doing something pro-crypto when it was actually being engineered by the Wall Street people. That's what I think. Just reading between the lines.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, without knowing all the details, it is hard to know. I think,
Remember, folks, that's what ETHgate was about, too, is power brokers behind the scenes trying to engineer this thing for themselves and trying to make it look like it's decentralized and all this stuff when it's not.
Key things that people are focused on is sort of what's happening with the FTX exchange token, FTT. That was actually a kind of core source for a little bit of the kind of tussle that was happening and subsequent market activity. I think there is speculation that there are, significant counterparties.
Look who was behind him: SoftBank, Tiger Global, Thoma Bravo, Sequoia, BlackRock, Paradigm.
Kind of took that as collateral for loans. And so.
All right, the point is that there might be some more shoes to drop, and here's one of them, apparently. Galaxy Digital reveals exposure of $76.8 million of cash and digital assets to FTX. $47.5 million is currently in the withdrawal process. So now Novogratz is involved in this and ETHgate, huh? And then there's this. Remember Mr. Wonderful? This is what he said. Mr. Wonderful was one of the investors in Sam Bankman-Fried.
Bottoms are made in any market. I don't care if you're in equities or in debt or in crypto or in real estate. You always need a big player to go to zero. That always helps, whether it's long-term capital or whether it's one of these crypto infrastructure companies. I would like to see, and I don't want this to happen, but it always gives you a good bottom when you get a large player over-levered that goes to zero. And that always tends to be the beginning of the rebuilding process. So if you have to sacrifice someone who used too much leverage, and it's always leverage that does this, somebody's over-levered, positions are complicated, they're not transparent, they're not liquid, and they go to zero. Someone is out there on the brink of zero. That's okay. In fact, I'd argue that's a good thing when we get it. Now, we get it this week.
I bet he didn't wish it was a good thing with one of his investments.
We get it next week. Someone's going to zero. I don't know who, but it'll be great for everybody else that survives because everybody will learn from that. And that's what I like about a washout, an event. And I think we're due for one in crypto land. And I don't know who it's going to be, but I guarantee you 100%, I've seen this movie before, you will learn later that somebody put on a heavily
There you go. Thanks for the advice, Kevin O'Leary. Then here's Jim Cramer. It's important to point out all Jim Cramer's tweets because, you know, he's the go-to guy for you to learn about investing on CNBC. Sam Bank, this is 6/22/22. Sam Bankman-Fried doles out credit lines to save crypto institutions. He's the new JP Morgan. More great advice. I hope this is not true for Tom Brady's sake. Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen put their $650 million fortune into maximizing their stake in FTX cryptocurrency. They're using their money well, investing their money into cryptocurrency firm FTX to make some future profits. Boy, I hope that they're not that tied up in that. And then there was this breaking. Bloomberg Billionaires Index has estimated that Sam Bankman-Fried of FTX is now worth $991 million. This is as of yesterday, down from $16 billion the day before. Man, that makes me want to throw up, and it's not my money. Now, I do not know what in the world this guy is thinking, but this is an attorney for, this guy's name is Miles Jennings. I couldn't believe it when I saw this. He's general counsel and head of decentralization at A16Z Crypto. That's Andreessen Horowitz. He's a partner at Latham Watkins. And he decides that it's a good idea. Has this guy been living under a freaking rock while we've been uncovering ETHgate and all of the different meetings that Andreessen Horowitz was having and all the different things? The Freedom of Information Act requests? Why on earth would you step in this ant bed? So Susan Friedman from Ripple actually had, she's the head of public policy at Ripple, had to correct him. He puts this list together and it's almost like he's intentionally trying to equate company names with tokens. Like look at FTX, FTT, not decentralized. FTX is the company, FTT is the token. Library, as if it's the library, the company, and the token, not Ripple, not decentralized. The same bullcrap that's been done for years in trying to hang Ripple around, put the label of Ripple on Ripple and XRP. Well, he's doing the same thing here, and I'm like, what? Why would this guy want to stir this pot? Well, she corrects him. Ripple is a company. XRP is a decentralized token that we use. The points shouldn't be conflated. Well, I've said all along, I think that it's intentionally been conflated. Then John Deaton gets angry. Should someone inform the GC of A16Z that Ripple and Library are companies with a CEO and board of directors and thus, by definition, are centralized entities? But then again, he may have learned about sufficient decentralization from his partner, Bill Hinman, who's a partner at A16Z too, or at least an advisor or something. And so if you go down this, I mean, it is painful, folks. It's painful to go down the replies. I even put one here. I said, as long as you're weighing in on behalf of A16Z, can you weigh in on this? And I showed him the disguised whales video. Of course, he's not replying to any of this stuff because he can't, just like none of them can. And then I said, I'm surprised. I figured A16Z would have fired him by this morning. It's one thing to step in an ant bed out of ignorance, but this is like putting your other foot in there for fun. And he tweeted this, should be good now, but the SEC isn't targeting XRP as it exists today. They're targeting XRP as it existed at the time Ripple was selling it to retail in the US. And John Deaton says, oh my God, nothing could be further from the truth. Honestly, I don't want to be a jerk, but there's no way he has read the SEC's complaint or summary judgment brief. Why do you think Blockchain Association, Digital Chamber, 75,000 XRP holders, and 9 other amici file amicus briefs? Why do you think that? It's because they're trying to say XRP itself is the token. And then here's another clip from John Deaton with David Goekstein from Gary Gensler resign.
Perception of Ripple, let's say, winning hasn't changed after this ruling yesterday?
Yeah. Here's what I would tell you. I am absolutely confident that the SEC will not win at summary judgment. Whether or not Ripple wins at summary judgment, I can't say with the same confidence. But I can tell you that the worst case scenario for XRP holders, the worst case scenario, in my opinion, is that the judge says a jury must decide certain facts. And so she denies the summary judgment for the SEC, but then says there needs to be a trial on factual issues. That's the worst case scenario, in my opinion.
All right.
Whether or not she's going to say Ripple wins. And in my amicus brief, what I did is I didn't file in support of Ripple like other people. I filed in opposition of the SEC. But at the end, I say to her, look, Judge, no reasonable jury would conclude that all XRP, including in the secondary market where people don't know anything about Ripple, that those are all investment contracts with Ripple, especially in countries like Japan, Switzerland, Singapore, the United Arab Emirates, where XRP has been deemed a legal form of currency and a medium of exchange and not a security.
All right, I like this hashtag XRP wins. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family. Hashtag XRP wins. There's not a, that might be the wrong way to say it. Look, XRP is going to be around, folks. Look, I do not think this ends in a bad way for Ripple and XRP for a lot of reasons I've gone over a lot of times. That's just how I feel.